Marcus Chen stood outside the Italian restaurant, phone pressed to his ear, watching his reflection in the glass. 42 today. His daughter Emma had spent weeks planning this dinner, calling ahead to reserve his favorite table by the window. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart," he said, his voice heavy with regret. "I know you worked hard on this, but there's a family that needs help, and I'm the only translator available tonight." Through the phone, he heard Emma's disappointed sigh, followed by something that made his chest swell with pride. "It's okay, Dad, we can celebrate tomorrow. Go help them." Marcus ended the call and headed toward the transit station 3 blocks away, where the welfare center had reported a distressed Zethian mother with 2 juveniles. The emergency translator had called in sick, and Marcus, who'd spent 5 years learning Zethian during the first contact integration period, was the backup. The transit station hummed with the usual evening chaos. Humans rushed home from work while various alien species navigated the crowd with varying degrees of comfort. Marcus spotted them immediately. A Zethian female crouched in a corner, her chitinous plates dulled from stress, while 2 small juveniles clung to her thorax segments. Their translator collar lay broken on the ground beside them. "Honored mother," Marcus said in careful Zethian, approaching with his palms visible in the species' gesture of peace. "I am Marcus. I help." The Zethian's compound eyes fixed on him, crystalline tears streaming down her mandibles. She clicked rapidly, the desperation clear even before Marcus parsed the words. "My offspring, I'm sick, very sick. Clinic closed. No understand human medicine words. No money for private doctor. Please, please help." Marcus knelt down examining the juveniles. One was barely moving, its breathing plates fluttering irregularly. He'd seen this before during his volunteer work, a severe allergic reaction to Earth's atmospheric particulates. Without treatment in the next few hours, the juvenile would enter respiratory failure. "I help," Marcus repeated firmly. "Come." He pulled out his personal credit chip, the one with the birthday dinner fund Emma had insisted he save, and booked an emergency hover taxi to the nearest 24-hour xenobiology clinic. The Zethian mother, who introduced herself as Krisa, trembled as Marcus carried her weakest offspring himself, cradling the small alien child with the same gentleness he'd once used with baby Emma. The clinic was nearly empty. Marcus approached the desk and immediately began explaining the situation, advocating fiercely when the receptionist mentioned the cost. He slid his credit chip across the counter without hesitation. "Whatever it takes. Run it." 3 hours later, both juveniles were stabilized, fitted with respiratory filters and sleeping peacefully in recovery pods. Krixa sat beside Marcus in the waiting area, her body language transformed. Where before she'd been hunched in despair, now her plates aligned with what Marcus had learned to recognize as profound gratitude. "Why?" she clicked softly. "You human." "Oh wait, Krixa, nothing. Today's special day, birthday celebration." Offspring said this. "Why cancel? Why pay? Why help?" Marcus thought about his answer carefully, knowing the Zethian language carried nuances that English sometimes lacked. "Because," he said slowly, "I am father too. I know fear when offspring hurts. I know what parents sacrifice for child." He paused. "Humans saying, we live together or we fall alone. Earth now has many peoples. Zethian people, human people, same now, same home." Krixa's mandibles clicked in a pattern Marcus had never heard before. She reached into a thorax pouch and withdrew a small crystalline object, hexagonal, glowing faintly with bioluminescence. "Krixa gives this. Is soul debt marker. In Zethian culture means life debt, but more." She pressed it into his palm. "Means family bond. Marcus saved Krixa offspring. Marcus now is, how you say, uncle to them. Krixa's clan is Marcus's clan." Marcus stared at the crystal, understanding the weight of what she'd just given him. Among Zethians, clan bonds were sacred, transcending even blood relations. "I'm honored," he whispered. What Marcus didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that Krixa's clan name was Zathrin, one of the 7 ruling lineages of the Zethian homeworld. Her mate had been killed in an industrial accident 3 months prior, and she'd fled to Earth seeking refuge from political enemies who wanted to claim her offspring for their own power plays. The crystal Marcus now held was encoded with genetic markers that, when scanned by any Zethian authority, would identify him as clan-bonded. It granted him diplomatic immunity across 17 star systems. More importantly, It meant that the considerable resources of the Zathreen clan, including their trading contracts, political connections, and protection networks, now extended to him and his family. But Marcus simply pocketed the crystal, smiled gently at Creeksa, and said, "Your offspring will need medication for 30 days. I wrote down instructions. Pharmacy near here gives discount for families." He stayed until the juveniles woke, helped Creeksa navigate the discharge process, and loaded them all into another hover taxi, this time to the refugee housing facility. Only when they were safely settled did Marcus finally head home, his birthday thoroughly forgotten, his savings account depleted, but his heart oddly full. He arrived home to find Emma waiting with a single cupcake and a candle. "Happy birthday, Dad," she said, hugging him tight. "Tell me about them." As Marcus described his evening, the crystal in his pocket pulsed gently, a silent beacon already transmitting its message across the stars. Within days, representatives from the Zathreen clan would arrive, bewildered and amazed that one of their own had found sanctuary through the kindness of a single human father, who'd simply done what he thought was right. But that was a story for tomorrow. Tonight, Marcus Chen blew out his birthday candle and made a wish that his daughter would grow up in a universe where helping others, regardless of species, was always the obvious choice.